first, we're going to do the news. Got to do the disclaimer.
All right. Well, nothing we say on this channel is financial advice. If you've been paying attention to the crypto market at all right now, you know why that is very important to make very clear, because there's a lot of deception and maliciousness in the market right now, and they're bringing anybody down. I mean, yeah, we were just talking about this. There are celebrities getting sued just for appearing in for commercials for crypto. So because they were affiliated with FTX, Tom Brady's getting sued, Larry David's getting sued, and several celebrities have been sued previously and lost for giving basically financial advice for unregistered securities, or being, what's the word, irresponsible financially. Wow. So
yeah, Wild West. If you can't trust Larry David, who can you trust?
I don't know. You know what's funny is he's getting sued even though his whole point in the commercial was saying, don't buy crypto, this is a bad idea. You know what I mean? He was the grumpy old man. He never once said buy it. He said don't buy it the whole time. I think his case is airtight. He didn't say
no. Clearly, he was using reverse psychology. Clearly.
I mean, if you can get sued for telling people not to buy crypto and they still bought crypto, then I don't know what the point of our disclaimer is.
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
If we're watching this in court, this is ridiculous, and I can't believe I'm here again. All right. Starting off with the news. I didn't share my page. Let me bump that over here.
I'll get our share screen. System it won't let him. There we go.
I didn't even have it on there yet.
You're on it.
All right. Jamie Dimon, who runs or is the CEO of JP Morgan, he's the guy who famously said he would fire any of his employees who bought Bitcoin just because they were stupid, because he constantly talks about how Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, how cryptocurrency is just a fad and it will go away. Anyways, he's in charge of JP Morgan. And another thing that JP Morgan has just done in the step of crypto adoption is they've just got their patent and trademark for the JP Morgan crypto wallet. It just went through. It's going to be able to do virtual currency transfer, crypto payments, virtual checking accounts, and financial services. But the irony is not lost on Twitter that this is the guy who absolutely wants nothing to do with crypto, but his company keeps doing things that are crypto related. And one of the big things he did was last time during the bull market, he was talking about how crypto was a scam and how Bitcoin, anybody who bought Bitcoin was stupid. And he did say to his employees, if he caught any of his employees buying it, even personally, he would fire them just for being stupid. And then as soon as it broke and the price started coming back down from 60,000, JP Morgan started buying some and putting it on their books. So this guy seems to be a little hypocritical about, and maybe he's probably got a whole board of stuff, so he doesn't get the final say in everything. But he says one thing and JP Morgan does another. So
yeah,
that's happening right now. And like we always talk about, any adoption like this, especially in weeks like this, where there's just nothing but fear and terror in the crypto market, and how, retail investors are like, oh my gosh, is this the end? Is this the worst thing that could happen? Is this, what's next? Again, major companies, major financial services, major players are still all in on blockchain, and they're getting in as many ways as possible. I mean, not just NFTs, not just metaverse projects, not just, customer reward programs, but, JP Morgan, which is one of the biggest financial centers in the world, is getting a crypto wallet, getting ready for Web3 and NFTs. So
yeah, I would think they know how to do their own due diligence.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. They do. There's no way they're doing this just shooting from the hip. So whatever Jamie Dimon is saying, JP Morgan, the company he's in charge of, keeps doing the opposite. So I don't know if he's personally not liking these choices or if he just fear monger, but pretty interesting. And it's always good to see, again, especially in the down market, to see this kind of adoption and these kind of companies putting this much effort into it. So on that note, in fact, Mattel, the toy company, debuts new NFT Marketplace. I think next month, I think it is in December, they're going to launch their first series, which is going to be Matchbox cars of NFTs. So, I mean, in the world, in the world of collectibles, obviously anybody who knows Hot Wheels or Matchbox is very familiar with those, and they're now going to have their own
NFT
their NFTs. So that's cool because just the same reason JP Morgan's doing it. Mattel is classic. Mattel's not even Web 2. Mattel's pre-internet. You know what I mean? Like Mattel's a toy company, and they've been doing this for a long time. And the fact that they're jumping in, and they also own, like a Hot Wheels and Barbie. So you could imagine they're actually getting ready to come out with a new Barbie movie this summer with Ryan Gosling and what's that hot chick's name from Wolf of Wall Street? Margot Robbie. She's Barbie. So, and Ryan Gosling's kin. But how cool will that be to have a Barbie NFT when that movie comes out?
Yeah.
So,
it's going to happen.
Yeah, Mattel's making big moves right now, and one of them is into Web3 and NFTs. So, always good news.
Yeah, it turns out that NFT thing is not a scam.
Right. More than just the pictures.
It's more than JPEGs.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but they were apologizing for, Ticketmaster was apologizing for their debacle over the Taylor Swift stuff. Yeah, that's basically, that's a lot of Web 2. I don't know if the T-Swift tickets were NFTs. I don't know exactly how that went, but that does show you the importance of having not just a method, but an actual blockchain that can handle it. Because I don't know if Ethereum could handle the interest that they got. Because actually, I heard on the radio yesterday, they said there was so much interest. There were so many people trying to buy tickets that Taylor Swift would had to add another 900 shows.
Dang.
To give you an idea, not 900 total, add another 900 shows to get everybody who was trying to get a ticket. And they said, obviously she'll run to death. She should do one on the metaverse, because then she can sell an infinite number of tickets and only have to perform one good time. But that's very interesting, because when you start to build this global market, this where anybody in the world can buy tickets, can buy stuff, you need a blockchain that can handle the speed. I mean, could you imagine, these are 40 and 50,000 seat arenas, and she would have had to sell 900 more shows to get everybody a ticket. The numbers that you're talking, and they do it the way they do NFT launches or coin drops. They basically just go, they turn it on, and you can now buy. And people were like 5,000th in line waiting online to do it. So imagine having a blockchain capable, ready to go, to where you can have your MetaMask wallet set up, ready to go, or maybe even be whitelisted beforehand. And when it comes time, click, done. One of the
Bored Ape Yacht, other side, all over again. Gas fees out the wazoo, just crazy. Yeah,
well, that's why it's important to have a blockchain, and that's why the technology has to keep growing. Because I don't know, Solana, maybe if they weren't out that day, if their network wasn't down that day, might be able to handle it, because they're the one that claims they can handle a lot of speed really fast. But I don't know. I don't know if there's any one that could definitely handle a Taylor Swift concert tour right now. Do you think?
I don't know. No, it's clearly bigger than the other side, and it's not even close. So, yeah, I don't know how they would pull that off. I
Yeah.
guess we won't know until we know,
Right. So I thought that was cool. CZ has apparently turned his attention from FTX to Coinbase, the third biggest crypto exchange in the world. He tweeted out yesterday that Coinbase holds 635,000 Bitcoin for Grayscale, and Grayscale won't show their official on-chain stuff. So they said they have 635,000 Bitcoin in Coinbase custody, and he tweeted out that 4 months ago Coinbase had less than 600,000 Bitcoins total. So he was like, how is this working? And so he posted it. And then a lot of people got on there, a lot of big people got on there real quick and started pointing out stuff that Coinbase holds a lot of their assets in cold wallets, which doesn't show on the blockchain because they're off the, you know what I mean, the exchange. And then apparently, I already forgot that guy's name. What's the CEO of Coinbase?
I have heard it 3 times today and I can't remember it now. Was it Jason something? Let me look it up.
Brian Armstrong.
Oh, okay. I was close.
Yeah, not at all. But Brian Armstrong, I actually had that window up and I just deleted it to get to bring up this other.
Is prior to this stuff with FTX, did I just completely miss, because I don't pay that much of attention. I am now, but did I just completely miss CZ, FUD being like the truth meter for the crypto industry, or is he kicked it into high gear now?
I think, yeah, I don't know. Because SBF ended up being a turd. So I don't know if CZ's just a bully and he's just trying to take this. I mean, this would be the time to attack. If this was medieval warfare, the markets are down, you're in the middle of winter, it's the crypto winter, people are ill supplied, they don't have a lot of reserves. If you had the ability, if you were the stronger army, now's the time to attack and just finish off all your opponents. And that's what it feels like he's doing. I like to think, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's probably just trying to expose and weed out all of the discrepancies before the next bull run. And if that's the case, I'm okay. But he had to delete that tweet 5 minutes later because the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, texted or called him personally and said, look, the numbers that you have are from this article. They are incorrect, blah, 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 blah. And so CZ actually deleted that and posted another one. I'm trying to find it here. Came back on and said that he said, it turns out those articles were wrong. I talked to the CEO, and we need to work together to make sure the blockchain is, strong or whatever like that. Like it sounded a little bit like, okay, I got caught, exaggerating or whatever.
Hey, you need to say this now.
Yeah. Quickly.
Why wouldn't he call Armstrong first and say, hey, what's up with these articles or these reports? Because if you're not, that does seem like you're a bully. Right. Because the reality is that with CZ saying that stuff, just like FTX, there's going to be a run on that, that exchange. Now, that's fine if you're doing what you're that's such a so low grade, but hilarious. Yeah. But the reality is you are required to have a 1-for-1. So even if there is a run on your exchange, you should be able to withstand that. But that's still not good for business, So there's some. It is the Wild West out here, Ben.
And that's what it sounds like. Coinbase is kind of deflected every shot towards them with good, solid information. Yeah. They keep saying, we're literally a public company. We literally can't hide anything. We have to release all of our financials every month. The last one, October 30th, it shows you everything that we have. It's a public company. We don't have the ability to keep stuff a secret. So he's his tweet, and this was just a couple of hours ago. Brian Armstrong just told me the numbers in the articles were wrong. Deleted the previous tweet. Let's work together to improve transparency in the industry.
This is the same crap he said to Sam Bankman.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And now again, if something would have been shady, I mean, I don't think this is definitely the gamification of the whole industry. So I get it that it's a little bit of sportsmanship and a little bit of back and forth. And if it exposes something, if Coinbase panicked, if it did what it did to SBF, I mean, I have no problem with SBF going down. I would be a little more upset if Coinbase did, because that's where I have a lot of mine. But it's like, it needs to happen. It's like any other wound or any other infection. I mean, if we're going to go forward the way that we want to, this stuff has to be taken care of. And if one tweet about, hey, these numbers don't add up, sends everybody running, then it needs to happen. But when 5 minutes after your initial post, you have to say, actually,
I jumped the gun a little bit.
Brian told me everything was good. Let's work together. Please don't come at me. Please don't, hey, right. truce real quick. So
yeah, it's like when you used to punch your older brother real big and then like,
right.
Truce. Hey,
bam,
hold on.
Truce. Time out. Friends. Yeah. So I thought that was cool because, Coinbase was trending on Twitter. And right now, Twitter's hot, man. Twitter is, Twitter's the place to be again, especially with World Cup. There's a lot of stuff going on, and people are all on Twitter. And, well, look at this. This one's important. Boycott Tampax. I don't know what that's about. But when I was looking this up, Coinbase was on the top.
That's important for half the population, I'll tell you that.
Well, but so Coinbase trending, but that's what it was. It was CZ just causing trouble again. But again, it's really nice. It's really comforting when Coinbase CEO texts and goes, this is incorrect. This is what the situation is. Here's our numbers. You can also look it up because we have to release it public. You know what I mean? Right. The fact that there was no panic, the fact that they said, actually, this is what the situation is. Perfect. That gives me some confidence in Coinbase. That's why I haven't felt the need to get everything off of Coinbase yet.
It's interesting. I was listening to some stuff by Edward Snowden. He just gave a presentation via the web, of course, in Napa Valley, and he was talking. He used Coinbase, and at one point he said, "No offense, I'm just using Coinbase. They're one of many." But he was talking about them being centralized, and if the CBDC comes into play and regulation, and Coinbase bends over for them like they've been bending over for other reasons, then it's all over. That's the words he gave, is if they bend over, then it's all over. So Coinbase is kind of taking it from all angles. And granted, it's because FTX just went out and there's only a few large companies. So they're all going to catch flack. And maybe that's CZ's play, is if I'm dishing it, I'm less likely to catch it if I'm dish it out first.
Right. Go on the offense. Yeah.
Right. Go on the offense.
Yeah. And I agree with Snowden in the fact that, once there's the CBDCs or central bank digital currency, CBDCs, or the heavy reporting and all that stuff, it's like, then it just really shows why you don't want to be on a centralized exchange, why you want to have your own wallet, have your cold storage, use DEXs when you can. But the more of that stuff that comes, I think it'll get people on board. But it's like everything else. It's like, you need to get people, you need to find a way to get grandma on, because, you need to get people using the Starbucks loyalty program because it's using the Polygon network. All these people will help. Now, it's going to screw a lot of people if all they ever do is put their money straight into the one government coin and just spend it the way they're supposed to. You know what I mean? Like, I think that will pull the hardcore decentralized crowd further away from centralized exchanges. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen, and that's probably best because, like I said, once Bitcoin has an exact spot ETF, once people can buy Bitcoin easily for their retirements, grandmas and grandpas who have $700, $800, $900,000 in their retirement account, they might buy one Bitcoin just in case. It's just like to them buying Facebook or Google or anything else. They might buy one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody who has a retirement account tries to buy one $20,000 Bitcoin, that's going to shoot the price up like crazy. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that you can have that. Yeah, you can have that in a centralized exchange, but it's also, you're going to want to have some money flying under the radar on some of these DEXs, some of these other projects. Like, you're not going to want to just go straight through stuff like Coinbase all the time, especially if they're reporting everything directly to the IRS. So
yes, yeah.
But if you have, say you had a one Bitcoin right now in a cold wallet or, you know, off the chain, and again, they open that up to where people could invest in Bitcoin in their retirement accounts, and the price went to $1 million. It doesn't matter that theirs is on centralized exchanges. Yours is on a little Trezor, safe as can be. And just because they came on and increased the price doesn't mean yours is any less secure. It's right there, right where you left it. It's all in how you handle it. It's just, he's right. And he's right to be nervous, because they're talking about onboarding the other 340 million Americans that aren't the 10 million Americans that are already familiar with it. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a lot of people that are going to put all of their blind faith into whatever program or exchange or entity that the government goes with. And that's not good. But if you're watching these type of videos right now, you're definitely ahead of the game, and you'll definitely be able to prepare yourself long before an event like that happens. Do you
agree? Agreed. Yeah, I try not to go down that lane. I very much over the last couple weeks to even a couple months have really begun to take into account the security, transparency, and the secrecy of owning currency and Web3 and blockchain. Like, to me, it's never really mattered. I'm into the ownership. But recently, with all that I've been watching and studying, not only within this market, but politics and everything that's going around, I've begun to realize just how important it is to have ownership of your own stuff, and to not have it just floating all over the web.
Right. Actual custody of your actual property and your actual wealth that can't just be seized, stopped, slowed down, halted, or, you know, withdrawn at their discretion. So,
yep.
Last thing, I think, last major thing I have for the news is that the country of El Salvador has returned purchasing their Bitcoins. They slowed down. They were buying Bitcoins. They'd stopped for a while. They're going to return to buying one Bitcoin every day, starting. It actually started a few days ago. This article's a couple days old. But these are countries. This is a country that is preparing for the future, that is trying to protect their wealth at a time where their currency, their government money, is all over the place and losing value almost weekly. They're buying Bitcoin now as an actual store of value, a way to hold on to it forever, that their country can either use or borrow against in the future. And they've made a commitment. Their president is very pro-crypto, specifically Bitcoin. He likes all the crypto and the blockchain, the Web3, but he loves Bitcoin. And that's the move they're making. And in fact, that was one of the things he ran on. That's why a lot of people like him, is because he's progressive. And so they're buying one a day. They didn't say how long they were going to do it. They just said they were going to start buying again. They were going to buy one coin a day for the foreseeable future.
So fascinating.
That's massive dollar cost averaging.
Dude. Yeah, and it's it's a whole country. It's a whole country. It's one thing to say you're buying inflationary currency, daily. It's a whole nother thing to say you're buying a currency that is limited and deflationary. As a Bitcoin buyer, I'm not just competing against you, Ben. I'm now competing against other countries. This isn't the first. This has been going on, but that ups the odds of the importance of it.
And there's only 21 million coins. You know what I mean? Like, even if you were just to compete against everybody in one state in America. Kansas has 4 million people in it. So, you get the Midwest of America, and there's 21 million people right there. Yeah. Everybody in that area can't own one Bitcoin, not to mention 4,000 or 5,000, maybe more, maybe a couple million coins are already lost. And who knows how many are on wallets that will never be retrieved. Plus, there are already companies and countries and people that own thousands of Bitcoins individually. So when you start to do the numbers, even probably all of the politicians in America couldn't own one Bitcoin, and when you start about it like that, man, you better get what you can while you can, because eventually people are going to realize just how scarce this is, because it is a worldwide asset. Anybody in the world can get it. There's 8 billion people in the world, and there's only 21 million coins, and who knows how many are actually available to purchase. Yeah, we're going to talk about it more when we're going over coins, because what do they call that? Yeah. Spoiler alert, number one's Bitcoin. So we're going to go over it again, but Bitcoin is the thing to be doing. I mean, and it's like, it's not a few fringe people buying and selling Bitcoin anymore. It's entire countries. It's major companies. It's the world's richest man and the world's most successful companies. I tweeted at a couple of different Bitcoin people today and asked them if, as a small business, should I be putting some Bitcoin onto my balance sheet, or would I be better off paying that to myself in income and buying it privately? So maybe next week or the week after, we'll have some news, and I'll see what some of these people, because I tried looking it up everywhere and I couldn't find anybody saying it. So I don't know. Wouldn't that be interesting if you started telling all small businesses to, hey, start putting 10%, just the way Tesla bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin and just parked it on their books and just says, here's, some money, the way MicroStrategies does it, the way a lot of these companies are starting to preserve value rather than having it in cash, where it's just going to get worthless and worthless as time goes on. They're buying Bitcoin. So
yeah, I don't know, but I don't know, but I always get my tax advice from Twitter, so you can't go wrong there.
Well, I'm getting it specifically from crypto bros on Twitter, Twitter and YouTube. So we'll see what they say. And
it's all those things you got to pay attention to. El Salvador is buying Bitcoin. The richest people and companies are buying it as a store of value. Michael Sayer obviously did all that research and decided, of all things to store my value in, Bitcoin is it, and I'm going to move $400 million over in one move, basically.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it on this channel before, but we've talked about how it's like, well, right now, if you were just looking to preserve some wealth, you and we could go buy a couple of gold coins and pretty much be maxed. Or at the biggest, if you were like, I want to save $100,000, you might go buy a bigger bar, and 100,000 still isn't very big, but you could buy a big bar of gold. And then it's like, I'm going to hand this down to my kids. That's understandable. You could do that. But if you had to move or flee, you could just lose it, which would be terrible. Realistic. But it's like, but then when you think about, okay, what about these companies like Tesla that are like, hey, we've got $4 billion in cash sitting around. Do we want to hold on to that for 5 years and then spend it on upgrades? Even though it's going to be worth about 40% less than it is right now, or should we buy gold? And it's like, well, if we buy gold, we're going to have to build another building to hold all the gold, to hold $4 billion worth of gold,
Yeah, especially when you look at that forever people bought bonds and treasuries to store that value. Well, that they're not what they used to be, and they may not continue to be or come back to what they used to be. So it's a major problem. Where do you start storing this value when you're losing 4 to 8% a year on billions of dollars or millions of dollars. You know, it's a reality and a problem you got to figure out real quick.
And that's what Michael Saylor said, was after going over all the different spots he could put this money, they decided the best, the safest, the most intelligent choice they could come up with was Bitcoin. It was risky, but it wasn't as risky as you're going to guaranteed lose it if you just keep it in cash, and you're probably going to lose it if you invest it in other things. And so they put it in Bitcoin, which is pretty cool. So to wrap up this week in crypto, I've got the crypto prices right here. Today is November 22nd. So we are almost 1 year exactly away from the absolute high point of crypto. Isn't that crazy? Because November 21st,
been a year.
October, November, those were the, let me just see if I can find Bitcoin, pop up the 1 year.
While you're pulling that up, oh, there you go.
Yep, there we go. Boom. Yeah. About 50, 60,000 1 year ago today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 1 year ago. Yeah.
It's been a fun ride all the way down.
Man, look at that.
So, but here's all of it.
Yeah, it's going to be lots of good opportunities. It's funny now, you know, you're watching this transition. My contractor was over today and hadn't had to have him fix anything for a while. So he's like, what have you been up to? So I'm telling him all this stuff and telling him started the MetaMentors deal. I was like, man, that stuff is like, it's taking a huge bath right now. Like it's falling apart, isn't it? And I said, yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? And of course, they have this look, but I've noticed this transition in this short amount of time that it's gone from, you tell them you're into cryptocurrency or whatever, and half the people are like, oh, I've heard of that. And other people are like, I've heard that like one time. I don't even know what it is. Now you tell them it's immediately, oh, that shit is money like crazy. Like everybody knows, you know, as soon as you have tragedy, then everybody knows, you know, they've got wind of it.
And it's weird because they don't recognize it in normal markets or, you know, traditional markets. That interview that Pompliano did the other day with the guy from CNN or whatever, he like named off 5 companies, 5 major Fortune 500 companies, and was like, this one's down 94%. This one's down 87%. This one's down this. Bitcoin technically is up on the year. You know what I mean? Like he's like, or maybe it's down 30%. He's like, but these other ones that if somebody on CNN said, hey, Shopify is down 90%, it's a good buy because Shopify is going nowhere. You should buy it. Even though it's down 90%, you don't have anybody going, how can it be a good buy if it's lost 90% of its value? They go, no, it's worth this much. It just lost this because everything's going down. You know, it's like they get it when it's traditional, but when it's something that has to do with Web3, they're like, oh, I don't know. But he pointed out several companies that have all done this exact same thing right here over the last year. Yeah. You know, he's like, well, here's some companies that you shill on your channel every day that have identical.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I love the point where he was like, you know, these things need to be regulated. They've got to have heavy regulation. And he said, Enron, Bernie Madoff were regulated.
Right.
Crooked people are going to do crooked shit.
That's what he said was crooked people, criminals are going to do criminal things. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. That was a great interview. Hey, before we end the news, I have a little bit of my own news that I had caught wind of that I hadn't heard. But amongst all this mess of FTX, did you hear about the SEC winning their lawsuit?
SEC won a lawsuit?
Yeah. Yep. The Security Exchange
won against who?
And I'm probably not going to say this right, but it's a LBRY Libri blockchain-based publishing platform. Their currency is LBC. You got to love that. The LBC.
Gotcha. Yeah, you know me.
They won. So they won a lawsuit like less than 2 weeks ago. It's been amongst all this stuff with FTX going on, and that lawsuit was that LBC was claiming not to be a security, and the SEC found them to be a security, and so a lot of people. From what I'm hearing, one of the major takeaways from this is if you're your currency had an initial ICO, there is a high chance that the SEC can now use this as a what do they call it? Not prerequisite, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I can't think of what it's called, but I do know what you mean.
Precedent.
Yes. According to the presidents
I can use this case as a precedent. So clearly I was like, oh, I need to go back and see of what I own, what all had an ICO, which is most of it. Bitcoin did not, and some of these others did not, but most of them had an original ICO. So there's a high chance that they could found as a security based off.
Basically, it's going to be, they wipe it all out. It's going to be the only ones that are left are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin.
Yeah.
The only ones that were
and
just
some of
pure blockchains.
Yeah. Well, in a way, in a big way, that's where we're headed, right? I mean, we're cleaning house. A lot of this is not going to be around, and it's so fascinating to see. It's so fascinating to be on this journey with you, Ben. I'm really enjoying this journey.
Well, I'm glad you are, but I'll be a lot happier when the market turns around and we're in the positives. A journey that's been this expensive, I'm just not enjoying it as much as you are.
I'm in agreement with you, and I think you too. My hope is that it will stay down all the way until about a week before my wife actually finds out where all my money's going. I need it to be up at that point. So I don't know when that's going to be, but if we could look into the future, if we could get an almanac and check into the future, that would be very helpful.
I agree with that.
How fun is it that you can speak the truth on these episodes, as our wives are never going to watch it?
I tell you what, if I had Abby sit down and start watching one of these episodes, she'd be asleep before you got done with your intro.
Oh man, that's a good news this week, buddy.
Last one, I just saw this. One of the top 3 trending coins right now is a brand new coin called World Cup Inu.
The power of dough.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah, it's going to take a dive after that.
Oh yeah, it started in September, so it did shoot up. It did get up there. Market cap around 4 million. Is that what I saw? Fully diluted market cap of 6 million. That's just people riding a meme coin. You gotta love the meme coins, but I wouldn't put any long-term investment in there.
If you like gambling, it's a new way.
Yep. All right, that's what I've got. That's news this week. Happy Thanksgiving. That'll probably be tomorrow by the time we post this. And Black Friday, we will be posting our top 10 crypto coins, Web3 coins, however you want to look at our top 3 projects to potentially look at investing in 2023. And due to the nature of the market, it's perfect timing because they're all on Black Friday sale prices.
Yeah, boom.